My name is Kevin Duncan,
And I'm David Klebanoff.
and we'll be talking this evening about the Wireless Acoustic Noise Monitoring Network for avoidance of network noise ordinance violations. The objectives of our mission are to wirelessly monitor sound noise level and to notify the user when the sound noise level exceeds a predefined level.
Our approach was to use the EZ4300 RF2500 board as our access point with its subsequent target boards as the end devices. The nodes were used in a star network topology with Simplicity's network protocol. A breakout board coupling an electric microphone within the op-amp to amplify the sound was attached to each end device. The sound level was sampled by the end device and sent to the access point. At the access point, the sound levels were analyzed, and if above the noise threshold, this triggered a notification to be sent to the user.
This is a picture of the microphone attached to our breakout board. And this is the sound pressure meter that we used. We calibrated the power amplifier volume levels that corresponded to 80, 90, 100, and 110 dB noise levels, and 100 dB noise level corresponds to a jackhammer at 10 meters. This is a picture of our setup. You can see the sound source is at the top of the power amplifier. This is the power amplifier. And this is the microphone board, and adjacent to it is a sound pressure meter, and this is an oscilloscope. This is a blow up of a 1 kilohertz signal that corresponds to 90 dB sound level. You can see the voltage level is the order of 0.348 volts. The ordinance in Burlington states that the sound should not be audible through the wall. We had a series of listeners, a group who were located on the other side of a wall, and they listened and determined that if the sound exceeded 58 dB, they would call the police. And that corresponded to a 95 dB noise sound pressure threshold. And this resulted for the oscilloscope trace in a voltage of the order of 0.64 volts. Unfortunately, what we would like to do is rectify the signal and smooth it with an RC network and then pass a constant voltage value to the node, the remote node, to be sent back to the access point. But the magnitude of the peak-to-peak voltage at 95 dB was too low to turn on a diode, so we couldn't rectify it. So what that meant was we had to calibrate the remote node for the peak-to-peak voltage. We used a pink noise source because it emulates the human ear's auditory response, which is basically logarithmic with sound pressure. And you can see the spectrum dropping off at 10 dB per decade. This is a plot of that calibration showing the peak-to-peak voltage at pin 3 of the remote node and the corresponding 10-bit value that the A to D converter would see. And you can see at 95 dB, this corresponds to a voltage of about 1 volt or a 10-bit value of 400. And that was what was used for the threshold for the noise source sound pressure. Take it away, Dave.
Our wireless sensor network required multiple end devices with a central access point. There was no need for your one end device to talk to another end device, so that's why we chose a star network over a mesh network. We also needed a low power, simple network protocol, which is why we chose Texas Instruments Simplicity TI. We also required that the access point communicate with the computer terminal to notify the user of a potential noise violation. Some of the benefits of the Simplicity Network protocol is that it's a low-powered Texas Instrument proprietary RF network with a setup that can last well over 2 years with the same set of batteries. This protocol also supports various topologies such as a mesh network and also can include range extenders. This also has the ability to scale up to 30 end devices. Here is our end device to the right. It's gonna once it turns on, it's gonna give itself an address if it doesn't already have one. Then it's gonna uh, try to join the network, and once it joins the network, it's gonna enter a low power mode until it wakes up once per second. When it wakes up, it's going to read the sound level from the ADC, take 250 of those samples, and then take the max and min and take its difference. It's then going to send that information into the access point. At the access point, it's going to initialize itself as the hub and send a splash to the COM port saying that the network has been initialized. It's also going to gather the RSSI and node addresses of the various end devices. It's also going to determine if the sound level coming from the end devices is greater than 95 dB. If so, it's going to trigger an alarm message while continuing to output the various data at the end devices. Here is an example of our terminal output. We can see that it identifies each node and its relative noise level corresponding to a 10-bit value. Once it reaches above 400, it gives an alert saying you are making too much noise.
Wow, man, it's karaoke night at Kevin's. The music's so loud I don't have to talk to the babes. Party hardy!
Oh man, Kevin is doing karaoke night again. He's really stringing the cat this time. I'm gonna have to call the cops. I'm sorry, sir, but your neighbors have complained about the noise level. I'm going to have to issue a ticket.
But Officer Hendricks was meant to be played loud.
Hey, Kevin, a couple of bright grad students from UVM came up with a wireless sensor network that will monitor sound levels, so I don't have to listen to you sing anymore.
But does it cost less than a noise ordinance violation fine?
You betcha.
Wow, this is cool. These little things talk to my computer. Uh-oh, the music is low enough I have to talk to the chicks, but at least I can ask them out to dinner because I don't have to pay the fine and I've got extra money. Cool. In summary conclusions, the audio transducer peak-to-peak voltage was sent from the remote node was calibrated. We found that a 95 dB noise source sound pressure threshold needed to be established.
A low-power simple star network topology was constructed. A wireless sensor network was created that the user was notified when the sound level was above the 95 dB threshold.